This is The Scoop for Monday.
I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines. Some Central Floridians are feeling uneasy about what could come of the United States' capture of President Nicolas Maduro. A group of about 40 people marched through Orlando's Mills 50 neighborhood Saturday to protest the military operation. Ramon Pereira Bonilla says he and most of his family left Venezuela before Maduro took power, although his grandma still lives there. He says Maduro has been disastrous for Venezuela, but Pereira Bonilla fears the U.S. military intervention will only make things worse.
I guess if I could say anything, my message would be to my Venezuelan compatriots who I'm sure are feeling the same sort of both relief and worry that I'm feeling. This clearly isn't a matter of principle for this country, but it's simply a matter of gaining control over Venezuela's natural resources.
At a press conference held hours after announcing Maduro's capture, President Donald Trump spoke of plans to send, quote, very large United States oil companies into Venezuela to rebuild the country's infrastructure. After having what one described as a significant impact on Florida's black bear hunt this month, conservationists could seek to add bears to the federal threatened species list. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission last week reported 52 bears were killed during the hunt last month, less than a third of the 172 bears that were permitted to be killed, with each permit holder authorized to kill one bear. Opponents reportedly got about 40 of the permits and offered up to $2,000 to some hunters to not use the permits, which cost $100 for Florida residents and $300 for non-residents. A new bill in the Florida legislature would guarantee coverage for stuttering treatment in Medicaid, private insurance, group health plans, and HMOs. WMNF's Chris Young reports the sponsor of the bill says if passed, it would help remove the stigma against the condition.
HB 785 would require coverage for speech therapy for children and adults who stutter and prohibit limits on visits. Orlando Representative Ana Escamani says the idea came after she met with a Floridian who stuttered and faced bullying and social isolation because of it. He told Escamani that speech therapy changed his life, but his access to it was always uncertain.
And so for him, this bill means that he can focus on finding his voice, not fighting with an insurance company.
Escamani, a Democrat in a Republican-controlled legislature, says she's optimistic the bill will receive support across the aisle.
At the end of the day, when you are diagnosed with a health care condition, no one's asking for your party ID. No one's asking you who you voted for. They're asking for that insurance card.
Democratic Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith filed the Senate version of the bill. The legislative session starts January 13th. Chris Young, WMNF News.
An appeals court last week shielded the Florida Department of Corrections from a lawsuit alleging that retaliation by officers led to an inmate getting raped. A 3-judge panel for the 1st District Court of Appeals said the department is shielded from sovereign immunity from the lawsuit filed by Stephen Beebe. The court said Beebe can continue to pursue claims against the 4 correctional officers. The ruling said Beebe alleges that the officers retaliated against him after his mother called to report that he was in fear for his life. Beebe alleges he was put in a cell with the intent that he would be raped by another inmate. The ruling said Beebe was subsequently raped. That appeals court says sovereign immunity applies because officers were acting outside the course and scope of their employment under the facts alleged by Beebe. The lawsuit said the alleged incident happened in 2018 at the Lake Butler Reception and Medical Center. Florida posted a slight increase in tourism during the third quarter of 2025 from a year earlier, even as Canadians continued to back off on travel to the U.S. According to Visit Florida, this year's total was the most for a third quarter, generally considered one of the slower periods for Florida since 2022. Florida, however, continued to struggle to attract Canadian visitors amid tensions between the U.S. and Canada. Visit Florida estimated the state had 507,000 Canadian visitors during the quarter, down from 597,000 in the third quarter of 2024. Canadians have been canceling vacations in the U.S. because President Donald Trump's rhetoric and tariffs aimed towards their country. Governor Ron DeSantis has recommended legislators maintain funding for Visit Florida at $80 million. Lawmakers will consider the request during the legislative session that will start January 13th. Highs today in the mid-70s, patchy fog tonight with overnight lows in the mid-50s, more fog tomorrow morning followed by sunshine and highs in the upper 70s. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.